51, Chris, or 52? Type 51?
Yeah.
How are you getting on with it?
Splendid. It's not an absolute pain in the backside at all.
No. It's biggish,
Look at the beautiful frame we've built. It's fantastic.
Because of these short. And I done that with wing nuts, which is going to be so easy to move.
Down slowly.
These are great. In here you even get little Venetian blinds you can open up.
Almost.
There we go. And there's even a piece of plastic that go down to keep the light out. This is for communications, as I understand. So that's to go off to another tent. This is the back door. This is where the oven goes. So we'll show you that a bit later on. So that goes out to the side. And then in the middle is where the smoke escapes. So there's actually a lever here and you can push it up and that opens a little lid on the roof and lets the smoke out. So yeah, it's a very well designed bit of kit, but just incredibly heavy and quite complicated to put up. Where are you, Ollie?
Hello.
What are you up to?
Well, we're going to have because we've moved up in the world of FARG, we're now glamping instead of camping, so we've got a stove.
So this is a Type 54 tent.
Yes.
And so there is a hole here. Ollie's going to slide this through. There we go, and that's where we put the vent, or the chimney, off of our fire. So do you want to roll that up and tie those strings? So roll it, I think the strings go to the ones behind so it doesn't drop down and set light. There we go, there's our smoke vent. Our little Venetian windows are open. We could have done this a little bit better, to be honest. There's the entrance. So let's have a look in here. So we have put in lights. So lights, and as you go in, a bit difficult on the camera, it's not going to show it. So it's quite a size. So I believe that it is 12 feet across there, and it's 15 feet along there. I think the last time I measured it. And it's quite a substantial structure. So there's Ollie's out there somewhere. See if we can see him.
Yep.
Nice one.
Parfait.
Hello and welcome to FARG Motor. Make sure you're on the camp we've got here at Western Helicopter Museum. Hello, George, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm George, I'm a member of FARG, and currently we are preparing the explosive charges for the main gun for our demonstration later on. Done under the supervision of a pyrotechnics and explosives expert.
Oh, what exactly are you doing?
I am wrapping the charges now to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do when we press the button. So the object of the exercise here is to compress the charge as much as we can, because the more compression it faces when it explodes means it'll be a lot louder, so a lot more interesting for the public. So it'll be wrapped up with some extra strong tape and then placed inside this concussion pot as well, which will enhance the sound massively.
Where does the concussion pot go?
So this is perfectly made to slot in the end of the barrel, so it's far enough away from us and anyone else. When we press the button again, it will be as if it's firing out the end of the gun to make it seem really, you know.
How do you get the charge to go off?
Inside we've got a dead man's switch, which it's got a key, so again, for safety reasons, it means that it cannot be fired unless someone's turned the key and pressed the button. So it's I think 12 volt system, 9 volt system, and it's just 2 wires and a switch.
How much power have you got in there?
So right now we're running about 200 grams of powder, which in comparison to what the tank would have actually fired, which is about 1.5 kilos of explosives, we're doing about 1/8 of that. So if you compare the size of the bang that we're going to make, really puts into perspective how big the bang coming out the tank itself is.
Thanks a lot for that, George. Let's go see what they're up to.
No problem.
Here we have Chris and Ollie. And what are you two up to?
Well, Do you want to explain the MBC side, Chris?
Yeah, I can do.
Or MBC slash?
So what we've got here is the MBC suit. Came into service in the 1950s, used all the way into the Gulf. Although not on the front line, they've got a different style of uniform by that point. You got the rubber gloves, the rubber boots, and the suit itself. The canister would be worn on the back of the soldier for dispensing the chemical agent to, or decontamination agent to decontaminate the vehicles after it's been in the...
But unfortunately, for those that do know their MBC suits, he's actually wearing it back to front because it was quite a rush to get it on. So he shouldn't necessarily have a hole here because that really wouldn't be very effective. But there we go. So you've got the general view of it. So I can't remember. I think it's an M53 suit that he's wearing. It might be a bit later than that. I need to do my homework on it because it's only just arrived from France the last couple of days and we've got him straight into it. What's it like in there, George?
Very warm, very sweaty.
Very warm and very sweaty. Well, you look $1 million, and I think that definitely, if we pinch the face in a bit, that makes you look a bit better, doesn't it? All right, and we've got your decontaminator there, and is it working? Oh, you've run out of juice.
Here we are today with the AMX13, also the FARG Motorpool tank. So let's have a look around. So this has got a 105 on it. So the original tanks had 75 on them and they've gone up to 95, I believe. And now this one has a 105 on it. This is a rifled barrel. So let's see if we can see down inside. No, couldn't see it. Well, I promise it is there. Let's go around here and talk about the engine on it. So originally they were petrol, but they've been since upgraded to diesel. They were originally Deutz, and then this one is a Detroit. So now we're going to get in as though we're the driver. So you come up the front here, avoiding the hatch. It's very tight in here. The seat has got like 3 levels to it. It's pretty comfortable, easy to adjust. Got 2 periscopes here. Would normally have a middle one, but that is currently missing. You've got the engine on the right side, and there's tons of buttons in front of you. Just like loads of buttons in here. Different gears over here. Is auto. 2 sets of tillers here. You've got the outside ones and the inner ones. So the inner ones do the diff and the outside ones do the brakes. This is the dog clutch and it disengages the drive either side. And you've got the normal throttle and brake. So now we're going to walk down the side of it and just have a look at the tracks and the road wheels. So on this we have 5 road wheels and you've got some little rollers at the top, which there are 4 of them, which shows it's a later chassis. Another thing we have to keep an eye on in this particular tank is the tension on the tracks. So if you go to about the middle, you want about a fist in there, which that is pretty good. We also have to change the rubber pads on these, which aren't too bad because they're just 2 bolts going through the back, but they always come off at shows. There is about 83 of those rubber pads. Right, let's go have a look at the turret and see what's going on up there. So, when you get up here, you can see the gunner and the commander's hatch. The commander's hatch has 2 settings for the actual hatch itself. So if the periscopes get shattered or damaged in any way, he has the option to stick his head out briefly. Just have a look around. Let's have a look inside. So let's climb on. Right, I'm about to climb up the back, and as you can see, we've got some foot placement bits to get grip. And you've got a nice handle up here, so you get 3 points of contact. Climb up nice and easy. And then as you come up here, and out you go. Right, so in the commander's hatch, we have a lot of padding going on here for protection and just making it a bit more comfortable. It was also designed for a lot smaller people, so which is not very comfortable for anyone quite tall, like Ollie for example. But other than that, let's go in. It's going to be quite a drop. Just go disappear now. So up here we have the local radio for speaking to the infantry. So this is part of the loading mechanism and it shoots the round. So here we have an override for rotating the turret, just in case they lose control or get injured. Two seats down here. We've got a like a floor that just comes up, so you can stand on that. You also have a second seat here, as well as the parade seat, as I said about. It is very small. Right, let's go to the other side. So over in the gunner side, we only have 2 periscopes, because that's all you really need. You've got a sight here, you've got another parade seat, and this is the dead man switch we were on about earlier. So from looking out the sights, I can see that George and Ollie want to get into the engine, so we're going to have to rotate the turret. Come on lads, lift the barrel and help me out. Oh, blimey. So I'm doing this manually, so we don't use up all the battery using the hydraulics.
It's very easy.
I'm now traversing the turret, and it's extremely easy compared to going up and down. So, what are you up to, guys? Busy.
The engine today before we take out on a little spin, make sure the fluids are right, make sure the levels are good, everything like that, no leaks, anything untoward basically.
So, George, how do you get to the engine?
It's a bit of a pain really, you've got to take the front spare road wheel off, and you've got to move the gun as well. So you've got all that undone. You can lift the engine.
Right, this gives me a great opportunity to get a good look at that big engine.
So now I'm going to check the fan reservoir level.
So really what I'm looking at, is it wet on the bottom right? Any of the pipes? Under the filter. Yeah, I saw that here.
It's only on one corner then.
Yeah, I think it's one of the pipes might be loose.
Right, Ollie, what are you doing down there?
So we're taking one of the front glassy plates off to check the oil levels in the diffs. Down.
And then we've got this reservoir here, which is a hydraulic fan that the AMXs didn't usually have, but has been installed on this one. Now we've constantly seemed to have some sort of wetness underneath that reservoir, and if you saw one of our earlier videos, we even smoke tested it to see if there'd be any cracks. So my gut reaction at the moment is that one of the feed pipes isn't tightened up enough, and when it gets up to pressure it's pushing a little bit of oil out. It's not really a problem. It's only a problem if it starts spraying onto like hot parts of the engine, which it's not. It's dropping straight onto the floor. So we can have a little clean up in there. I think that'd be enough to get us a couple of times around the field here, so the public can see. Ready?
Yeah? So this is the first movement of the AMX13 this season. It's quite loud. Very clunky on the tracks. You feel a lot of jolting and moving parts. See where that fan is at the front? That's a hydraulic fan. You feel air going through the hatch. That's the fan sucking air through the tank. So it's great in summer. Not good in winter because you get very cold very quickly. Smell a lot of burnt diesel as well. The smells are quite funky. Like old burnt diesel and oil and all sorts. I'm saying. If you can, it's very loud. Okay, so that is the first drive of the AMX this show season completed. Done very well. It's very noisy as always. Just as you can hear. I think Baz is happy. A few little things to sort out, but as with any armoured vehicle, you never stop working on them, so that's to be expected. Yeah. What did you think, Annie?
It was very, very fun.
Yeah?
Very clunky.
Very clunky. It's a good way of describing it, I think. So there we are.
We're done.
First one done.
4, 3, 2, 1.
We're having quite a successful day here. It's hot and bright. No shade at all. Need to go and find some in a bit. So you've probably just seen the tank fire. That was quite successful. You saw us driving it. That was quite successful. Then we decided to have a look underneath the tank just to check things, because you usually do. And there's a great big pool of oil, like an enormous lake exchanger on the side of the engine, and it takes oil out of the diff, which is the steering, and it cools it, and then it pushes it back into the diff again. And one of the pipes that goes on the top of it over pressurized, and it's blown a gasket. Test it and we might be up for running, because this is the first day from a 2-day show and we've got to drive it again tomorrow. So we're going to pull a bit of a late one, a bit of an all-nighter, all hands to the pump, quite literally, and we're going to try and get it fixed. So watch this space.